Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this wall.
In 1989, the Berlin Wall fell down, communism in Eastern Europe collapsed, and the Cold War ended. People raised and toppled their oppressive governments. The power of the people prevailed, right? Well, not quite. After a few years, it became clear that the term fall of communism is, in fact, a misnomer. Communism didn't collapse spontaneously, and people power had nothing to do with it.
And it's a truth that has been so well hidden that I don't know that it ever will come out fully clear in whose interest was the change of government in Eastern Europe.
Well, KGB was an integral part of the whole Gorbachev's Perestroika. They were very instrumental in the massive disinformation campaign trying to present the policies of Perestroika and Glasnost as a reforms for democracy, not as an operation for salvaging the regime.
I think that it's fair to say that Secretary of Defense Cheney and Deputy Secretary of State Eagleberger, Condi Rice and I all felt that the reforms were going to fail.
If you can effectively shape the way someone sees the world, then they're going to act the way you want them to act. And so it's controlling the behavior, in this case of states, by creating a false picture of reality, or creating a picture of reality that will bring about the results you want.
We witnessed the revolution without realizing who were the winners and who were the losers.
It actually came in the shape of a KGB power, a worst possible scenario.
That Bush thought it was very smart, very wise to take a very low-key approach to the end of the Cold War. I think he was right.
Yeah, because Gorbachev promised democratic changes.
And indeed, James Baker, as Secretary of State for George Bush, told Gorbachev the same thing that Hopkins had told Stalin, namely, if you want anything, just tell me.
Now, when you tell American politicians and American elected officials you've won the Cold War, it's a message they want to hear.
Most of what Gorbachev tried to implement was worked out theoretically under Andropov in different think tanks, patronized by either KGB or Central Committee's International Department, or both.
The West never understood the Soviet system as such failing to comprehend why it was inherently aggressive.
Many of our politicians, and especially our diplomats, fail to understand this fundamental feature of America's adversaries, and that has caused us serious national security damage as a result.
This administration has had more than the usual propensity for self-deception. Condoleezza Rice, who fancies herself an expert on Russia, is one of those who, in the language of the Foreign Service, of which once I was a member, has gone native.
The United States knows very well that there are 400 Russian spies in the United States and doesn't do anything about it.
Spying by Russia today is at Cold War levels, which is unprecedented.
I would say they have long-range goals, have no interest whatsoever in supporting even the survival of the United States, much less its prosperity.
Perspective plan of the Russian Putin government is really to become a boss of Europe.
Communism was never conclusively destroyed, never condemned, and didn't disappear.
The only thing that strikes me is that it had become politically incorrect to continue worrying about the Soviet Union now that communism was dead.
I don't see any victory here except the one that was proclaimed in Moscow. If Charles Manson was let out of prison and moved into your neighborhood, and he changed his name to Charlie Brown, you can call him anything you want, John Smith, he'd still be Charles Manson.
So, of course, reality catches the American people by surprise. This has happened quite a few times in the 20th century. The more idealistic, as it were, the more people have indulged their own ideas of the world rather than dealing with it as it is, the more harsh surprises have come upon the American people.
Well, I think it's going to take history to judge whether the transformation of the Soviet Union into an extended Russia was part of a plan or whether it was reflected the victory of the West. I don't think we can make that determination now. I think we have to wait until it's too late.
How much do we know what happened yesterday? How much do we know what is happening today?